Bradley destroys Russian BTR-82 in seconds and collapses the entire counterattack line. In the forests where visibility narrows to meters and survival hinges on seconds, a single armored clash flipped an entire battle. A Ukrainian Bradley met a charging Russian BTR-82 in a lane barely wide enough for one vehicle, and what happened in those first moments reshaped everything that followed. Infantry movement, trench control, counterattacks, and even long-range strikes on Russian artillery in the rear. This was not just a vehicle kill, it was a chain reaction that exposed how timing, geometry, and discipline can collapse a larger force before it even forms. Stay through to the end, because this fight shows why one precise action at the front can trigger pressure across the entire line, from burning APCs to disrupted command posts and silenced guns miles away. Today, at the first point of armoured contact inside a wire-clear, forested approach corridor, a Ukrainian M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicle and a Russian BTR-82 collided head-on in a clash where seconds, not armour, determined the first outcome. The moment both vehicles entered the same narrow lane, the advantage shifted to whichever crew could stabilise faster, acquire first, and fire with precision over uneven ground. In those opening moments, timing outweighed mass, and a single decision shaped every action that followed. The Ukrainian assault brigade moved under heavy tree cover, using canopy and terrain to reduce thermal and line-of-sight exposure, and the shallow cuts in the terrain to break long-range lines of sight. Bradley crews kept hatches sealed, sensors warmed, and weapons ready. Radio discipline stayed tight because unnecessary words slow down decisions when the route bends. The line advanced as drones cleared the lane, marking safe passages and confirming no obstacles blocked the intended path. Inside the hulls, infantry dismounted, remained strapped in with rifles down and helmets secured, waiting for the moment their lane opened. The Russian BTR-82 came from the opposite direction at speed, pushing down the corridor in a committed, straight-line movement. Its role was to act as the spearhead for a larger fleet of armoured carriers behind it. But the Bradley crew obtained the first stable sight picture. Through thermal optics, the target grew quickly, bright against the cool shadows of the forest. The gunner held the reticle center mass as the driver squared the hull to manage recoil. A short burst from the 25mm M242 cannon stitched the BTR's front arc. When it kept coming, the Bradley escalated, launching a TAU-2A/2B lane clear for guidance missile that crossed the lane in a low trajectory missile flight visible on optics before striking the BTR and lifting its bow. Flames rolled through the engine compartment as the Russian crew attempted to bail under splinters and smoke. With the spearhead gone, the Ukrainian formation gained room to maneuver. Communications stayed clipped and calm. The Bradley laid short, accurate bursts across likely firing points, cutting the edges of the tree line and clearing blind pockets where enemy gunners might anchor a response. A second Ukrainian vehicle watched the opposite arc to prevent a flanking effort. Infantry bounded forward in tight pairs, using the Bradley's suppression to cross exposed stretches and approach the trench line ahead. Smoke was only used where sight lines stretched long. Unnecessary smoke blinds both sides and wastes precious minutes. Within 2 minutes, as assault teams reached the trench to clear corners before entering, cleared bays were marked with bright tape to avoid confusion. A squad leader delivered a brief handover once the trench lip was secured. The goal was order, not noise, because orderly movement keeps casualties low and tempo high. Within moments, the Ukrainian unit had a stable base for what would come next, and deeper inside the trees, another fight began forming. While squads secured first bays, the Russian counterattack developed quickly. 2 armoured personnel carriers attempted to force the trench from the flank, engines roaring as dismounts rode the rails, ready to jump. The lane, however, was narrow, offering little room to angle or snake. Ukrainian gunners fired flare rounds to confirm range, and commanders shifted the Bradleys into a cut that covered both approach arcs. Timing and geometry mattered more than volume. 2 tow missiles were launched in sequence on a short count to stabilize tracking, so the driver could keep the hull stable, and the gunner could track the plume. The first missile struck the lead carrier and spilled heat across the engine bay. The second hit the following vehicle, halting it instantly. A third missile finished the job when ammunition inside began to cook off, and secondary explosions indicated ammunition cook-off. As both carriers burned, the field fell quiet except for scattered small arms cracks. With the spearhead destroyed again, the Russian dismounts broke rhythm, scattering into ditches that Ukrainian crews had previously zeroed. The Ukrainian infantry did not chase. They held their sectors, confirmed no third carrier was moving, and called drones to scan overhead. Medics treated wounds quickly, and ammunition was redistributed to keep every squad at full fighting strength. Engineers placed quick obstacles along the same lane the Russian APCs used. Trip flares ringed hidden footpaths. Range cards were updated, arcs redrawn, and a fallback route confirmed in case Russian artillery began to walk toward the trench. Leaders logged missile expenditure, estimated enemy losses, and verified stocks for the next phase. The position now had depth, and exposure was reduced, giving the unit freedom to choose when to move. Because this was a limited objective raid, the unit held approximately 15 minutes to limit exposure before withdrawal. Teams checked dead space, tagged captured equipment, and stabilized shock victims with fluids and blankets. Ammo was counted vehicle by vehicle. Once conditions were set, the withdrawal plan began. Order under fire saves lives, so engineers marked the primary return lane with infrared chem lights, and vehicles staggered at safe spacing to avoid bunching. Radios shifted to a low traffic net. The last team on the lip set trip flares and simple wires to delay any immediate Russian rush. Air and indirect fire posed the greatest threat during the withdrawal. Ukrainian crews prepared short-range air defense seekers, and drone operators widened their orbit to catch incoming rocket trails. If Su-25S attempted a low run, smoke would break laser lines. If glide bombs appeared, Bradleys would displace instantly laterally off the pre-registered line by 2 hull lengths. Every measure aimed to deny the enemy a second shot at the same grid. At the rally point, logistics followed quietly behind the fight. Small packets of water, medical kits, and 25mm belts staged resupply at the wood line to limit exposure. Batteries for drones and radios were swapped first, because the ability to sense and communicate keeps units alive. Turret bearings were wiped clean to prevent jams. The platoon sergeant noted every missile spent, preparing for resupply. Concise, accurate comms reduced risk more than additional armor would. Call signs confirmed positions with only 2 words, and drone feeds kept the map true. With clarity restored, the formation could pivot without losing pace. The hit-hold-lift rhythm paid off because it compressed exposure and preserved strength. Holding long enough proved control. Leaving on time proved discipline. Arriving intact proved value. A force that exists cleanly can strike again before the opponent resets. With the trench secure and the withdrawal complete, commanders looked deeper into the Russian rear. Thermite-equipped drones were prepared to target 152mm gun crews. A low-cost quadcopter and a small incendiary charge can disable guns worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Forcing a gun to relocate consumes time and fuel, and every minute a gun is off the grid allows friendly units to push or resupply. Counter-battery radars track fleeing guns by their heat signatures, making them easier targets than cold pits. Higher up the chain, precision rockets focused on field headquarters, communication vans, and electronic warfare tents. When those nodes move, the enemy's control of the battlefield collapses. Cutting a single road or destroying one fuel truck can delay a reserve battalion for hours and leave half its spares behind. Meanwhile, naval drones pushed Russian reconnaissance ships farther offshore, limiting target spotting for missile crews. Layered air defenses forced Russian aircraft to fly lower, placing them within reach of portable air defense teams. Across Donetsk, Luhansk, and Zaporizhzhia, interdiction choked Russian supply routes. Precision artillery removed Russian guns before they could establish new firing rhythms. When pressure is applied across many points at once, the overall effect becomes larger than any single strike. Commanders now watch the indicators that matter. Fewer Russian salvos per hour on hot sectors, more gun relocations after counter-battery strikes, steady hits on command nodes and fuel trucks, higher UAV density along supply roads, and slower reserve responses. If these signals align for several days, the window for broader gains will open without heavy cost. The Bradley's fire set the pace at the edge. Thermite drones silenced guns deeper in the woods. Layered pressure degraded Russian momentum across the entire line. With supply routes strained and counterattacks blunted, initiative shifted sharply. The key question ahead is, will this accelerating tempo open a wider breakthrough, or will the next contact force a new adaptation?